Good morning, everybody. This is Richard back at you. We got Miss Teresa in the house, #1 camera person. We got Annie hanging out. She's not mad at me anymore because I gave her bacon this morning. She was mad at me in the last video. Well, anyway, we got our 63 Pontiac Catalina in the house. We've got the unit out of it. Got it on the bench, fixing to tear it down. One of the coolest cars, guys, I got to admit. Really, really cool. We did, in the last video, we got the drive shaft repaired. We got all that work done. So basically all we got to do is take the tranny apart, make sure everything's 100%, put it back in now. So I really like that, having that part done. Come to find out.
Something's missing. There's no motor.
Oh.
What'd you do?
I put it in the car.
Man, you're quick.
Yeah, I'm waiting on head, so I wanted to get it stuck in the car. And
Dang.
that way I had that much less work to do. But it's basically all stuck in, hooked up. I just need to stick the heads on it, rock arm assembly, get all that finished, go from there.
You're quick.
But anyway, back onto the 400. I thought I actually built the tranny multiple years ago when our shop was in town, but come to find out, I didn't. Him and his wife rebuilt it at the very first part of COVID during the winter. So I'm going, oh wow. I said I was wondering why when I took the converter out and took the tranny out, and I noticed there's things that I do on every unit that was not done to this unit, so I knew right then that this wasn't my unit that I built. But it's pretty cool that him and his wife rebuilt it at home. And when I got in the vehicle, it would go into reverse, but it didn't seem like it wanted to move forward very good. And he thought that was the torque converter. So he brought it and bought another converter. We got a TCI converter here, brand new one, like 2200 to 2800 stall. He said this converter stalled too much. Well, I'm thinking it might have been the tranny to start with. So we didn't have anything to do with deciding on what was done to this unit, but we do now, unfortunately. But anyway, he said he put in used. And of course you can see the hub, and it's just all rusted up. This hub should have been polished. Actually, there's so many pits in here, I'm shocked it didn't leak out the front. So
you said that's a used.
Yes, he said he got a used converter and put in there.
Okay.
But the rust was on the hub so bad that I wouldn't have used it just because of the hub being bad. But, you know, there's signs here. Bolts not double sealed. I double seal every one of my 400 bolts, pump bolts. Same way the governor cover. I never use a 400 governor cover gasket, ever. I always throw it away, and I use some high temp silicone on here, put it back on. It will never leak. So let's try to get this thing apart real quick and see what's possibly going on.
But definitely kudos to them for,
Oh yeah, definitely.
you know.
That's what it's about, is jumping in and trying to get this stuff learned and fixed and done at home. And now we definitely want to put a new tranny mount on it. You can see it's all cracked up, collapsed. It's all fell down on itself. Now we did talk about when we were looking at the drive shaft in the other video that the tranny was sitting like this, so that the tranny needed to be lifted up.
Right.
This could be a big part of it, not as much, because this isn't enough to really angle as far as it is, so we're still going to have to put some spacers in here and lift the tranny up off the mount. We don't want to lift the mount up off the cross member, but we do want to extend this area here. Put a new mount on there. I don't know if it didn't seem like it had a lot of tail housing weight on the mount when I lifted it up, but it's really hard to tell. Might have to go to a neoprene style mount, something a lot stronger than that mount there. The drive shaft on this thing, remember, it was barely stuck in the back of the tranny. I mean, the U-joint was like out here. So I'm curious to see if there's damage done to the bushing.
I see stuff right there.
Yeah, metal shiny. If you notice, you can see where the yoke was touching the bushing and not touching none of this right here. So it's just barely touching that bushing. Now we do have a shaft here that does not take an O-ring. That's kind of odd. This could be an aftermarket shaft. Most of them do have an O-ring right there, or maybe this could be a. Now it's got splines in the end of it, so kind of hard to say. Your speedometer gear's here, and your governor gear comes in on the bottom. What I like to do too also is I like to check my governor depth, which you can kind of do it like this. You can grab a screwdriver and you can stick it in here and see how much this governor moves in and out. If it moves in and out too far, you can actually tap on the cover right here and dent that in a little bit and eliminate the travel of the governor where it just stays stationary. Uh-oh, got somebody here. You can see the gasket on the cover. We would leave that off and we'd just put a nice bead of silicone around here. Some really good stuff. You can see this, looks like the unit's got quite a bit of metal going through it because you can see how the governor is all scratched up. So we definitely want to check this bore in here, where this governor spins in here. Always put a new governor gear. You can tell that's a used one, but this governor is really scratched up.
That's what I was saying on the fluid on the table.
Actually, it looks stuck even. Oh, no, it's moving. You can see it moving right there. The valve, just barely. So, we got our modulator here. O-ring. Always use a red stripe adjustable. I did not pay attention to where this modulator vacuum line was plugged into up on the blower. We don't want it on the manifold area where it's got boost. We want it up physically on the top of the blower where the throttle bodies are. So I'm curious to go back and look at that to see where that's at. Modulator valve. A lot of your shift kits want you to put a spring on here. Kind of reduces modulator pressure. I always like to leave it off. It does firm up the shifts quite a bit more if you leave the spring off. If it's too firm, put the spring back on.
Yeah, see, you can see stuff coming out of there and
See
stuff.
metal.
Yeah, I think so.
Nice paint. Catch all these washers.
Hey, we got to remember to mention John.
Hey, John. What was his last name?
I don't remember his last name, but his daughter was talking to us out at the drag.
Yep.
And he is
Big fan.
big fan.
5 years big fan, I believe he said. He's been watching our videos.
Right. And he was
So-
out at the drag strip a couple of weekends ago. But he's got a few health problems, so he had to stay in his vehicle. And so we didn't get to meet him, but we did get to meet his daughter.
Yeah, that was really cool too.
And,
huh?
and she just couldn't, when he was talking about, she always was thinking, who is Richie? Who's Richie? So,
And then she finally got to meet us. And it was really,
Right.
we talked for probably 30 or 40 minutes easy out there.
yeah.
But we wanted to say hi. Definitely hi. And hi to the daughter and the husband, I believe.
Yeah, I think they were.
Thanks for
Crazy
watching,
world.
definitely.
Yeah, definitely.
You can definitely see all the metal in the pan. That's all metal.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, If you take these tubes out and look at the metal below the tubes, there is a ton of metal below those tubes.
Oh, you can see it.
I mean, just a ton of metal. That pan's is full. Now, we do have this piece here. This is where his transmission temperature gauge goes. We're going to knock all this off, clean it up, see if I can't TIG weld that on there and get rid of the gaskets, because I hate gaskets. I hate filler plugs. I hate all that type of stuff. Just always seem to leak. They don't make a good one unless it's TIG welded in. Look at the filter. We do have a screen filter. Anytime you have a screen filter, you have to remember it's going to pass a lot of metal through that screen, especially the fine stuff like this Tranny's making. Could have come out of the converter. We don't know until we physically get in here and start looking for stuff.
So different filter?
No, you want it. You have to run a screen
like okay.
Because it's going to move such a volume of fluid through the filter where a felt filter will not move that volume. With this filter here will, but the only problem is it don't catch the fine material like your felt filter would.
I see.
So you kind of give up a little bit to get a little bit, but
right.
have your filter extension here. Pressure detent spring, park reverse, click, 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 click. Like
Click,
that.
click, click, click.
Like that easy.
Sorry.
Then you're going to have 3 7/16 bolts right here. Be gentle on them because they are easy to pull the threads out. I always put my stuff back together with a speed handle and then torque it. So. But I always seem like I get a lot of units in with these bolts stripped. Or the threads actually pulled out of the case, the bolt's not stripped. Like I said, sometimes shift kits, you buy them, you can't do at home. It's a little bit harder to do at home. Like this shift kit here, I would assume it would give him some sort of type of manual operation. Even though you put in driver shifts on its own, if you put it in manual low, it's going to stay in manual low and it won't shift out until you move the shifter. Because these Trannies are really bad about, especially if you don't have the passenger wire hooked up, that'll shift out at 4,500 RPM no matter what, even if you have the shifter in low gear. But what we do is this hole right here to make this a partially fully manual or partially manual. You want to plug this hole right here. You want to weld it shut. I TIG weld them shut, and then you're going to take this out right, this pin out, and then you're going to pull this valve out right here.
Maybe.
If I get something down in there. There we go. I'm just pushing this plug out is what I'm doing. Just like that. Down in here. There we go. Okay. This valve here is already a modified valve. Normally you would take and grind the land off. Actually it is not a modified valve. What am I looking at? I had it backwards. This land right here you want to grind completely off right here. Grind this land off and plug this hole right here. When you do that you'll have manual capability, but when you put it in drive it'll still shift on its own. When you put it at any. So grind that off right here. Plug that hole, put it back together. Manual capability, really, really easy. If you're going to fully manual, all you got to do is weld your governor solid. You want to weld these paddles out like that, and then these inner paddles right here, You want to take and put a bead across his too. You don't want none of these paddles moving. You want them solid, solid, and you want these extended all the way out solid. You can TIG weld it there. That way it's solid. You can actually even grind the gear off. Leave the extension of it, but grind the teeth off. That way the governor is in the right position, but it does not have to spin.
Hope y'all are writing this down.
This is your passing gear switch. Passing gear on a 400 is electrical. There's usually a switch under the dash at the gas pedal, or there can even be one at the carburetor. When you push it, you activate and send 12 volts down here. Drops it down from third to second or from second to first. There's no such thing as passing gear. It's just dropping it down to the next gear. Gaskets. He did get his gaskets on right. If you notice here, you have this part right here, and you have this part missing right there. So you have to put that part against the case. If not, it will leak right there if you put that gasket. So you want that, and then this there like that. So they did do that right.
Got them on there good and straight.
All the check valves are in place. You can see here. This one here has to go in there. That one goes in there too. The rest of them you can leave out. This is your servo that applies your band for engine braking. They do make two versions of this. A lot of times this bumps right here are on this and not on this. So you just got to be careful and not get these mixed up. Flat, bumps. Bumps. No bumps, bumps. You're just vice versa. So you do not want to put a flat with a flat, because this seal will pop out and blow it. So you have to have one of them that does have the bumps on there. I think we have a visitor. Mr. Cody just showed up.
Yep.
We have a reverse servo and a third gear accumulator piston. Some of these will be Teflon, some will have metal. Always Scotch-Brite this up in here. That way your new seal. Scotch-Brite this up here, here. You got a rubber O-ring here, or seal here that slides up and down. You want it to be able to work and move. Then you have your little 3/8 12-point hollow bolt here. 4L80E is longer, and they will not retrofit. And see, all these bolts, we do put new washers on, but we also put a little bead of silicone around here. Because you can see how these bolts had fluid. These holes here had fluid already around the bolts through here. Because this is where all your pressure goes through, not so much up here. So that's why we always double seal. Also, you have this little nail right here. If this nail falls out, see that little nail? I can get it out there. If it falls out, and it's real easy to fall out in the parts washer, because it just slides in and out like that. You can easily just pull it out with your fingers, like that. And then this shaft is out right here, and now your manual valve falls out. So you want to make sure you always put that back in there. Look for it anyway. Come on, get in there. There you go. Put it back in there. What I do is I always take and bend it when I take the tranny apart. That way I know
that's not going to fall out.
Not going to fall out. We have our pump gasket. We have our forward drum assembly right here. Looks like he did put a billet shaft in here. It does have a big spline right here on the end. What they did is to make it simple, they re-splined the drum and then put bigger diameter shaft in it with bigger splines instead of having this size here in the drum. You can see the difference in there, how much bigger it is compared to here. So actually I thought I had another one here sitting here. Actually it's over there on the bench. I was going to be doing Peyton's transmission here pretty soon.
Oh my Lord, yeah, 16. July 24th, holy moly.
Yeah.
No more picking her up from school. That's terrible. Gave us something to do in the afternoon.
Got alto clutches, some really nice steels. Still have our wave in there, which is okay, being that it's a cruiser. We don't want it banging into forward gear.
That's a cruiser with nitrous?
No, that doesn't have nitrous.
What's that bottle in the center of the seats?
I don't know. I don't think it has nitrous.
There's a bottle in the center of the seat. Yes,
I'd have to look.
I saw that yesterday in our video.
Really, I gotta look. I gotta look a little deeper than that.
Yes,
I didn't pay attention.
This
I've been so busy all over.
Like it's a cruiser.
Well, you can use nitrous as a cruiser if you need a little sneak peek to get somebody.
Yeah.
But we do have a billet input shaft, larger splines. Drum's been re-splined. You can see the diameter difference, way bigger. It's a big upgrade. And of course, we have our billet forward clutch hub. Nice ringing sound.
Instead of a thud, thud, thud.
Yeah. Look at this. Okay, they put a spacer right here. Tighten that up. Never seen that before, but kind of different what people do. If you put it there, you're going to have to change it here. So anytime you add something in your clearances in here, you're going to have to take it out somewhere else if it's too tight. So not sure what thousandths that shim there is, but okay. Let's get our third gear clutch out. Now remember, this forward drum had a wave. A lot of the 400s come with a wave in this drum to soften reverse, because you got your third gear clutch coming on and your reverse band coming on, and they needed some way to soften it, so they added a wave here. But for race car purposes, you're going to take the wave out and stack it up with a solid steel. So, but when you do that, you can expect a firmer reverse gear when you put it in. If you have a really high stall converter, you won't feel it as much because the converter will take up the hit. But if you're daily driving or a tow vehicle with a low stall converter for towing, and you take that out, you're definitely going to know you have a harsh reverse. But there's nothing you can do about it, because they're just trying to help you out on your third gear shift. Of course, we do have a 34 element sprag in here. This is an updated drum. This is probably a 4L80E drum, the way it's got this locking retainer right here. Because the earlier ones, this snap ring was bad about coming off, so they added a spiral locking to it. What I used to do is just TIG weld the snap ring end to this piece right here, and it never would come out. But like I said, they added this. You can just spin it and get it to that spot. Get that do that.
Make you work on it.
Well, you got to turn it and get that, because there's pieces right here, so it locks into there, like there. You got to get it to this spot right here, so it'll pop out of there.
Right.
You look at this, see how much, a little bit of wear on that plate. These fingers are almost totally gone. Now, this was actually here in a little while, a few more 100 miles, this would have started turning. Of course, you spins to the right, locks to the left. Normally this would be a roller clutch. There would be lugs on here for the rollers, so that way the springs could push the rollers uphill. Remember that? But when you go to a sprag assembly, it's smooth. This will retrofit to the roller clutch. Okay? But if you look here, look how the pitting, how bad it's pitted. There's actually,
Oh, yeah.
you can feel that in your fingers. So this race will have to be replaced with a new sprag. You want to come in here and look at this and make sure there's no chattering. Scotch-Brite this up really good. Scotch-Brite it up in here where your sealing ring's going to go. Leave your center sealing ring out of here. Put your outer and then the one in the piston, but leave your center one out of the drum. You can actually leave the center one out of this drum too. Let's look and see what they did. How does that sound? I don't mind.
Sounds like a plan.
If y'all got time.
Y'all got time? Give me a thumbs up if you do. Not like I can see it.
Well, we'll just see what they did, because I don't know how much power this car makes, actually.
There's a bottle in between the two seats.
Is there?
Yes.
Get my snap ring pliers, excuse me.
Sorry if I'm giving away your secrets, by the way.
And also, guys, when you put your snap ring back in, never put your opening right here. That's designed to keep the snap ring from, this drum spins massive RPM, and this snap ring's capable of opening up and coming off. And that's why they have them there to lock it in there. So you don't want to put that there, you want to put it in the middle. That way it uses all 4 tabs. Okay. And then on here, you want to leave this seal and this seal. And you want to leave this seal off, which they left it on. So they're only using half the piston to apply the clutch. So when you take this off, you use the whole seal like that. And we also do leave the seal off the center support. And then on the forward drum, we do the same thing. We leave that inner seal off. That way, it uses the whole piston to move the vehicle forward. Same way with this. You do not want to line the opening up there. You want to turn it and put it in the middle. Same way here. Leave that seal, and remove the seal in the forward drum. Leave this one out too. So basically, you can be leaving this one out and that one out. Put the other 2 on the pistons. Pretty simple, huh, Teresa?
Pretty simple.
Okay. And we're going to get over here and look at our beautiful pump. Take our O-ring off. Of course, we have high pressure orange sealing rings. But you're going to leave both of them on there. Okay, of course, you know you do have different length bolts. You're going to have 3 of them. This one here is the longest, 2 that length, and then 2 shorter. The longest one goes right over your boost valve. Okay, you got a bushing down in here, bushing here. Some of the race car applications will leave this bushing out if we're using a trans brake. If we've got a self-centering torque converter, we would leave that bushing out. This bushing is designed basically to center everything in your torque converter. If you have a cheap torque converter, and you shake it and all the innards move side to side, that's not a self-centering torque converter. It has to have the input shaft and this bushing to keep all the components centered in the torque converter. Okay. When we go to our high performance converters, like a lot of the turbo guys use, high horsepower guys use, all the innards in the torque converter are centered themselves. They do not shake side to side. That's why we leave that bushing out. It gets more fluid in the converter. So, pretty simple. A lot of the shift kits come with different springs right here, pressure regulator springs. You want to read the instructions because there's multiple ways that you can install that. You can leave the horseshoe in, you can leave the horseshoe out. What I'm talking about is the shift kits, they make these springs different variations in strength, okay, for different pressures, depending on whose valve body it is and stuff like that. So you have this little horseshoe down here that sets on top of here, and then you have this piece with the 4 little tabs sticking up on there like that. Those tabs center the spring, okay? But a lot of the shift kits want you to do away with that horseshoe and put that on there like that. And why that is because if you leave it on there, it's just way too much pressure. I mean, you don't even want to put it in gear because it'll just knock your teeth out. So just always read your instructions. Like I said, it's hard to guess. This almost looks like a factory spring. The color of it on the inside is blue. It doesn't feel like a high performance spring. They're a lot shorter sometimes and even a lot firmer to push in. Then you have your boost valve here. Never use an aluminum one. Always use a steel body and steel valve, especially in a high horsepower application. Also, your snap ring. The way they make these, they're round when they cut them out, and they're flat on this side. Always make sure you put the flat out. Don't put the round out. Put it flat out. When it blows out on you, you'll wish you put it the other way. Of course, we have our pump body and gears right here. If you look, this is actually the better pump body because they started putting oil on the back side of the pump gear right here off the pressure regulator valve. Where a lot of the early 400s did not have that, and they had major issues with wearing the body out from here to here because the gear would just go dry, and they added that right there to put more oil back on this gear. And you can see where here it's just got the coating off a little bit. What I do is when I get cleaning these things up, you would not believe what I find. So we want to get in here and make sure there's no lip. We want to make sure that this gear comes in and out, doesn't move a lot of sideways and stuff. When you put a trans brake on here where they lock the pressure down to like 220, 240, these are really bad about shoving that gear sideways. And with a factory's modulator system, it idles say 45, 50 pounds. Or a trans brake, it idles at max pump pressure or whatever this spring will allow. Okay, so definitely gonna need some pump gears. Got quite a bit of scarring here. The body looks pretty decent. I think we can really use that again. So really excited about that. Don't have to put a pump in there. We have our engine brake band here. That way when you pull it down to third, you get that feeling. Yeah. Huh, Teresa?
Yeah, I love the car noises. A lot of people make a lot of different car noises. It's pretty funny listening to conversations on the phone.
And see here too, guys, see how they put the opener of the snap ring in this cavity right here? Where this could break, start a breakage right here, break that finger off, break the snap ring off, you know, both sides. You always want to put this opening over here. Put a full length snap ring over here. Now they do make a support. You can do away with your engine brake band and it locks in here on this pin that physically pushes on the snap ring right here. So they do make a cool kit that you can put in there. The trick is you don't have to make it shift so hard it just breaks the case. You know, a lot of these units, you know, we'll leave the wave in here. Especially on some of the 480Es and stuff because they just hit so hard and try to blow this sprag up. See, you'll break this right here. That's one reason why we put this in here is because second gear can hit so much harder than any other gear because the clutch is so big. But we only got 3 clutches in here. That would be a no-no to me. I'll be going back with thinner steels, thinner clutches. That way I can stack 4 clutches in here. And then I'll check. If I can put a wave back in here, I'll put a wave back in here. Because even with the wave, I can make this tranny hit so hard you almost don't want it to shift.
But this is a daily driver now.
It does, yeah, but I know this guy. You know, I don't think it has very many miles on it since they put it back together. Same way with this snap ring here. See how they put the bevel snap ring, the opening there? Always put it over there. This snap ring is beveled on one side and flat on the other. You want the, okay, flat here, bevel here. Stick it in like that. Put this piece over here in this big gap. Keeps from breaking the tips of your snap rings off. If they break off, they just wad stuff up in there. We have our center support. They did put a brass washer down in there. Normally they're plastic from the factory. You notice he did put all 4 sealing rings on here, which we will be leaving this sealing ring off. This one here off right here. That is doing the exact same thing as leaving this seal off here. So we want to leave it off there, leave it off here. And you're opening up a great big circuit. So anytime you do that, you want to remember, you want to enlarge the feed hole to that circuit, because you just now open up a cavity that's going to take a lot more fluid to fill, and it needs to fill up fast, just as fast, if not faster. So you want to remember that. So don't put a stock, do all this work and put a stock plate on there without modifying the holes to feed it. Of course, we have a bearing right here that's got a lip on it. See that lip? That lip sits down in here just like that. Bearing right there. Now you do have for any chatter mark. New bushing, put it in there. This plastic washer right here is a 2-tab. A lot of them are 4 tabs. You can see, let me get this out. This will actually accept the 4-tab washer. If you look here, it's got 4 holes for it. And what I would do, I would go back with a metal washer right here. And I'll show you. I'm fixing to do all this to my grandbaby's tranny too. So right down here, see that washer? Well, since we're going to roller bearing the back of this tranny anyway, this washer still looks brand new, and it's a 4-tab, and it's the exact same thickness as this plastic washer. So let's just take and put this steel one, or brass washer, right there. Okay, but there is one thing you definitely do want to look at, is these pins are bad about moving this direction. And when they do, they'll start chewing up this plastic washer, because that washer barely catches the pin. See that? So not the ones, or excuse me, it's the ones with the roller, not the pins that put the body together. So these right here, you want to make sure they're below flush. And we always come in here and TIG weld them just a little bit to make sure that pin never moves again. Okay. New bushing. There's your roller clutch there. So you want to check these, make sure no wobbling or pin discoloring or anything like that. Now, actually, truthfully, since this is a 400, these bushings right here are actually wrong. This is like a 480E bushing, rear lube. You notice how it's got grooves in the bushings? A 400 bushing would be a solid bushing, because the lubrication actually goes down the center of the shafts, where on a 480E, the oil goes down, did I say bushing? I might have messed up. The oil goes down the center of the shafts, and on a 480E rear lube, the oil goes down the bushings, so on the outer of the shafts. Okay. So you cannot put a solid bushing in a 480E, because you cut lube circuit off right here. You have to have the grooves on the rear lube only, okay?
Yep.
Anyway.
I understood.
You understood?
Yep.
Just wanted to make sure.
It's getting hot.
We have a little thin wash or snap ring that sets down here that the band sets on. Or excuse me, not the band, but the support. Teresa's talking to me. Don't be talking to me. They make a thick and a thin support on a 400. So if you have a thick support, it takes no snap ring. If it has a thin support, the support sets on the snap ring in the case. Want to look at your band, mainly look at the tips. It's where they always go thin and start rubbing metal to metal on the drum. And of course, put a new case bushing back in here. And then, like I said, on the back here, we're going to be putting a roller bearing, and we'll space the clearance and stuff up that way. Bushing there. You want to make sure the bushing is deep sunk down in there. It cannot set flush because the way this bearing is designed with a lip that sticks out. See that sticks out? Mm-hmm. So the bushing has to go below flush. If you put it flush, it's going to hit it right there and break the bearing. Another bearing there. Of course, you have your planet. Check your gears for any wobbling, pin, purpling, anything like that. And then you have your lube washer. I always leave these in. If I don't have one, I put it in there. It just traps the oil better inside the planet and keeps it full, and it makes it find its way out. If you leave this out, oil just falls out. It just slings it out. So it sits up in here, too, see? And it just seals oil into the system, into the planetary gear. Did Cody leave?
Nope, he's over there hiding.
Well, hey, Cody, what are you doing? Huh? Just hanging out? I thought I heard somebody come in, but I couldn't turn to see. Well, look who showed up, Cody. Always
Leaving town Monday. So come say hi.
Hey, that's good. That was good to see you again, definitely. Got a lot of things going here at the shop, huh, Teresa?
Yep, and it's getting hot.
It's getting
Need
hot.
to go.
Well, don't forget to subscribe, push your notification bell, go to the merch store, and good to see you again, Cody.
Yes, sir.
Have a great day.